Good morning and welcome to the show. Have you ever wondered how your electricity works? I mean, not like the electrons and stuff, but how you pay it and who your company is. And it kind of depends on where you live. Well, I got a couple people here who are going to help explain that whole mystery to me. And maybe you'll learn something from Terry Mullen and Krista Evans from Touchstone Energy Cooperative. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
What makes you a cooperative?
Well, the way we differ from investor-owned utilities is that we're member-owned. Everyone who's a member of a cooperative is one of our owners.
So me, as a member, as a customer, I'm actually kind of like an owner.
Yes,
that is correct.
You're a member-owner.
Sort of like a credit union or something like
Somewhat,
that.
Right.
yes.
Same philosophy, yes.
So now you both work for different companies, though,
Yes.
as part of this cooperative.
They're each individually owned and operated. They each have their own set of board of directors, which the members elect. And for instance, my cooperative serves Calhoun, Holmes, Jackson, and Washington counties.
Okay, pretty rural areas.
Pretty
right?
rural, mostly in the rural areas of those.
Yeah.
And Kristen, your counties are?
We're Bay, Calhoun, Gulf, Jackson, Walton, and Washington. So parts of 6 counties.
Okay, so now you're both kind of members of a cooperative, which means that all of your customers are owners in those respective
correct.
companies in
Right.
some way, shape, or form.
Right.
And then you set your rate based on what?
Cost of service.
Cost of service.
Yes.
Now, where do you get your power from? Do you generate your own power, or do you buy the power and resell it to us?
We purchase the power and resell it. We're actually members of a generation and transmission cooperative, which is Power South Energy Cooperative, which is headquartered in Andalusia, Alabama. So we are member owners of that cooperative. So we purchase our power from them, and then we provide that to our member owners, to the end user.
Yes.
Wow. So you buy the power. You guys kind of get together. You figure out what the cost is of doing business and providing power to us member owners.
Yes.
And that's how we get
And that
our
is a
rates.
privilege.
Yeah,
Yes.
and that's kind of cool. Now, how did all this come about? How come I'm not just a member of a customer of another power company?
Years ago, most of the rural areas didn't even have electricity. And Franklin Delano Roosevelt in 1935,
5.
She remembers that. Yeah.
I'm
It's
testing
amazing.
her.
She's so remarkably well preserved.
He started the Rural Electrification Act, REA as it was known, and actually a lot of our customers still make their checks out to REA rather than West Florida Electric or Gulf Coast Electric Cooperative. But he did that to help get power to the rural areas.
Because back in the day, they didn't have that.
The investor-owned utilities in that day, it wasn't feasible for them to provide
It just
power.
wasn't profitable for
It
them
was
to
not.
string all that wire.
That is
So
correct.
then FDR came along. They had a law. What's the law called?
Rural Electrification Act.
Rural Electrification Act.
Yes.
And that was the birth of the cooperative.
That is correct.
We've got to run off to the local weather, but after
Okay.
that, I want to talk more about that because I'm really fascinated about this whole
Okay.
rural electrification thing and me being an owner in part of that stuff.
Great.
Now to your local weather, brought to you by the West Pittman Law Firm, westpittmanlawfirm.com. Welcome back to the show. I'm with a couple of good people here from the Touchstone Energy Cooperative. And Krista Evans, you are from the Gulf Coast Electric Cooperative. And I'm reading Terry Mullen,
That's fine.
although I can remember your name, Terry. That's about the length of my memory nowadays. You're from West Florida Electric Cooperative.
That is correct.
And you're both members of Touchstone Electric Cooperative,
Touchstone
right?
Touchstone Energy,
That's
yes.
correct.
Energy. Yeah. that's
Which
what I
is a
meant to say.
national brand. It's
Yes.
a national brand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if you're a customer of yours, we're also an owner, which means the rates are kind of controlled only by the cost of providing that service.
That is correct.
Right.
So you're a non-for-profit.
That is
Do I
correct.
have all that right?
That
Yes.
is correct.
All right, now here we are. So it's really mental exercise for me this early in the morning. So now you've got these rates that are pretty well set.
Yes.
But I would imagine, if you look at a free market model, consumption goes up, maybe prices go up or go down. What happens to your prices when consumption goes up in the summertime when air conditioners are running and all that stuff?
Our rates are stable, but the usage is what really determines what the power bill is going to be each month. And as of late, with the severe winter that we've had, our customers have experienced some very high bills.
Yeah.
And we do a lot of different things to try to help them to control those bills. And we offer, for instance, free home energy audits to go in the home, look over the home.
Both of you do that.
Yes, we do.
So, Krista, what else could we do to keep our energy bills down? I could call you up and say, hey, can you do an energy audit on my house?
Yes, we're happy to provide that service. If you call and we can look at your account and see some things that might need to be looked at, we're more than happy to come out, and that's a free service that we offer to our members. But also, now that we're here, it's definitely summertime with these high temperatures lately. There are a lot of low-cost or no-cost things that our members can do in their homes to help control their usage. Things like their thermostat setting.
Oh boy, don't even get me started on that. Because we have battle of the thermostat in my house.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
yes. I think that's pretty common.
I'm
but
always hot.
Yeah,
Always.
I'm the same
yes.
way. Yeah.
The recommended setting is 78 degrees, and truly, for any degree that you go below that, it can really make a difference on your bill. So we do recommend keeping that setting as high as you can possibly stand it while still being comfortable. Make good use of your ceiling fans. Those can make your room feel up to 4 degrees cooler just by using a ceiling fan. Just make sure you turn it off when you leave the room. But that will really help you stretch that thermostat setting.
Now,
For every 1 degree, you could save as much as 4 to 5% on your cooling cost. Every
wow,
1
degree is 4 to 5%.
could save
Right.
you as much
In
as 4
dollars
to
and
5% on your cooling cost, not your entire electric bill,
Sure.
but the cost to cool your home, which is one of the largest expenses for your bill.
Well, this is really interesting stuff. If I wanted to learn more about this, do you guys have a website I could go to and learn more about it?
We do. We each have our own websites. Gulf Coast Electric is www.gcec.com.
And ours is westflorida.coop.
So we could just Google it up, and
all that
you'll have some
information.
money-saving tips there
Yes,
too, won't you?
Absolutely, yes.
Thank you so much for coming on the show and
Thank you for
explaining
having us.
all this to
Yes.
us. And we could probably do 10 shows on
We
this
could.
and I'll
We
still
could.
learn
We
about it.
could, we really
But,
could. We haven't touched the surface of things that can
Right.
do.
Well, thanks for everything you do to keep our rates low and to keep energy affordable to us
Thank you
living
for
out there in
having
the
us.
country.
Yes.
And we'll be right back after your Mad Hatter Minute.
Hi, this is David Lovett, and this is your Mad Hatter Minute. Have you ever turned on your car's AC system and got blasted by a foul, stinchy locker room smell? If you have, here's what's going on, and here's what it's going to take care of the problem. Think back to when rooms were cooled by window AC units. If you walked around to the back of the house, to the back of the AC, you saw water dripping down from the back of the AC unit. That water is AC condensation coming from the evaporator core of the AC. In your car, it's no different. There's an evaporator core located inside the dash of your vehicle, inside an evaporator core box. Condensation forms around the evaporator core, collects in the bottom of the box, and escapes through a drain tube located at the bottom of the vehicle. The locker room stench you get is when that water cannot escape from your car. If this happens to you, there are only 2 ways to really take care of this. First, get the car on a lift, raise it up, find the drain tube to either blow air, compressed air back up into the drain tube, or find an object that you can clear the drain tube with. Clear out the debris, water should run out. It's more of a professional way of doing things. You have to physically remove the evaporator core, physically remove the evaporator core box, clean the evaporator core box, clean out the drain tube, and then reinstall. Do all these steps, and that stinchy, stinky locker room smell will be gone. I'm David Lovett, and this has been your Mad Hatter Minute.
Hey folks, this is Joshua Brown with Mad Hatter on 23rd Street. Is your check engine light on? If it is, text MADHAT28, that's MADHAT28, to 24247, and we'll check it for free.
Welcome to the show. I'm here in Elliott Vocal Studios on 23rd Street with Pamela Elliott and a new instructor by the name of Stephen. Stephen, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to the show. Geez, what are you going to do here? I mean, you're instructing what?
I'll be instructing voice.
Voice.
Yes.
All right, so you've got a big voice, I have heard.
Yeah.
So, who are your students going to be? Are you going to be youngsters, adults?
I would think maybe midsection, maybe teen and up, maybe, I guess so.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess there's a lot to know,
Yeah.
other than just opening your mouth and letting sound come out.
That's true.
As I have learned from Pamela, there are a lot of different techniques that you use to develop your voice. When did you start singing, and how have you developed your voice?
Well, I started singing when I was maybe the young age of whatever an age of a person who's in 2nd or 3rd grade would be. And I started with a it was with a summer camp. It was with the Imagination Factory with Ron Holman.
Yes, yes.
And,
I know Ron Holman.
Yeah, and I started way early, and we started singing and doing musicals, and then ever since then, like every summer following that, I did a musical with them, and then moved to.
But how do you professionally develop your voice? I mean, there are things like say you're a good baseball player.
Okay.
You go to baseball camp, or a basketball player. You go to basketball camp. Did you go to song camp? Did you go to music camp?
I really did.
What type of education do you get?
Well, it wasn't until Gulf Coast State College where I actually had vocal training. Up until then, it was just what was coming out at that time. I didn't have the proper training up until that time.
So whatever came out naturally is what you were dealing with until you went to Gulf Coast State College. Is our little plug for Gulf Coast State College. But and the music program there taught you how to develop that voice.
The musical theater program, and then they have wonderful voice teachers there. Voice teachers there.
Sure do. Rusty
Garner and Carissa Hosey and.
Rosie on board.
That's a bubble. I recognize that. That's a bubble. See,
yes.
I know how to. Hey,
yes.
There's a bunch of stuff too, but
yes.
there's some really great teachers over there.
Oh,
there is, and Jason Hedden that is over the theater department. He is great.
So you got that training, all that training there, and now you're bringing it to Elliott Vocal Studios. How'd you get your hooks in this guy?
Well, I have to give Jason Hedden a big thank you for referring him to us, and he's fantastic.
He's got a lot of knowledge, education, and obviously talent. Because the whole singing thing, either you got it or you don't. If you don't have it, all the training in the world ain't going to give it to you. I know. And but you've got to start out with something, right? Yeah.
Well, somebody has there's times when somebody has that desire and it's so strong that they work so hard that they do get it. But that's a rare occasion.
Yeah, you usually got to have a little something to work with, right?
Yes.
Now you guys are having an open mic night.
Tomorrow night.
Okay.
The 27th starts at 6:30. It's open mic for teens and adults. This is where the kids were last week, and it was great. And tomorrow night
Can
is
anybody come,
for the
or is this
teens
just
and
for your
adults.
students? Or?
Oh no, anybody. It is open to the community. Please come in, and you can bring your acoustic instrument.
Yeah.
And if you've got a cajon, want to do some percussion that way. We don't want a full drum set or anything. A cajon.
A cajon.
A box drum. Yeah.
Okay.
They're really cool. Or bongos
Sounds a lot
or
like
whatever.
something else.
You can bring in your acoustic stuff.
Okay.
And
small
we'll have a
instruments.
keyboard set up.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, well that sounds really good. Now, if I need some sort of aid to sing, I can bring it along as long as it's small, like something like my shower cap and a back brush.
There you
That's
go.
how I sing in the shower, right?
Perfect.
I can bring that.
Bet.
We're going to kick open mic night into high gear here, So that's great. So do we have to register or anything, or just show up?
No, just come in and you sign the list, and we just go down the list and let people perform a couple of songs.
Now speaking of a couple songs. We're so out of time. It's not funny, but is there a favorite genre of music that you like to sing?
Well, it's musical theater. It's got to be my favorite.
Yeah, this is a story behind that.
Oh yeah, definitely. A lot of passion behind it.
Well, I got to tell you, we're looking forward to hearing much more from you, and of course, we'll see you again next week. And thank you for that vocal tip of the week. Welcome back to the show. I'm here with a very interesting guy by the name of Thomas Winterman. Thomas is an author and a clinical counselor. Thomas, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Now, you wrote this book, The Thrive Life, and I'm always fascinated by people who write books because it takes a certain degree of commitment to do that.
Yeah.
And it takes a certain mindset and lifestyle to have an idea for a book and then just seeing it through to completion. I mean, the easiest thing to do in the world is to stop writing a book, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
What prompted you to start to write this book?
Well, it's called The Thrive Life, and that's really what it's about. It's about living a life that you can be proud of, that thrives instead of one that just survives and gets by day to day.
Right.
That's where I was. I was living a life that I woke up in the morning thinking about going to bed that night. You know, I didn't invest in anything. I didn't put my time, my efforts toward anything worthwhile.
So many of us do that, Thomas.
Absolutely.
I mean, so many of us are just in that routine. You go and you go to your job and you sit in your cubicle and do your thing, and it's like day after day.
Right.
And you want to just break out of that at some point, don't you?
Absolutely. And I had a moment when I did break out of it. I just came to this realization that the way I was living my life was sending a message that spoke louder than any words I was saying. That to my wife, I was telling her that I really didn't care about her by the way I was living my life. When the words I spoke were, "I love you." That one day I would have a son, and the message I was sending to him was that you don't ever have to do anything great. You can just live a mediocre life, and that's okay. And that was what prompted me to turn my life around. I went back to school. I got a master's degree in counseling psychology, and I learned how I can operationalize the things that I went through, the things that I learned for other people.
Before that aha moment that you had, before you said, hey, I want to lead an extraordinary life rather than an ordinary life, what was your life like?
I was about 85 pounds heavier. I was incredibly unhealthy, and not just just unhealthy in general, and never exercised, not even a little bit. They kicked me out of Gulf Coast Community College twice.
Wow.
For paying for classes and not attending, so I wasn't the best decision maker at the time. I was stuck in a dead-end job that I just absolutely hated, but I never had any motivation to do anything better. I had settled, and I thought, well, this is my life, and this is how it's going to be.
And was it really an aha moment, an epiphany for you?
It really was. It was one moment in time. It was a Tuesday morning. I mean, it was between 9 and 11 o'clock. I remember very well. I was driving a delivery truck, and I just had this realization that my behavior was sending messages that my mouth wasn't sending.
Right.
That messages that really struck me to the core, that really hurt me when I realized what I was doing.
So you were actually kidding yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We've got to run off to a break, but on the other side of that, I want to talk more about this book, The Thrive Life, which is a self-help book, I guess.
Yes.
And let's get more into some of the things we can learn from this book if we go out and buy it. And I think you have a book signing coming up, too.
Yes, I do.
We'll talk more about that
All right.
after these messages. Welcome back to the show. I'm here with Thomas Winterman, who is a clinical counselor and an author, a local author, too, at that. Thomas, you know, we talked a lot about this book during the break. What's this book going to do for me? Tell me about the contents of this, and will it be a life-changing experience for me?
Well, I hope so.
Or only if I want it to be?
That's right.
Yeah.
The book is about finding who you want to be, really getting down to the absolute finest details of the person that you want to be, and laying out a plan to get there. The foundation is the concepts of choice theory and reality therapy, which says basically, what do you want? What are you doing? How's that working out for you? Let's make a plan. That very simple, but the concepts are there, and the tools are easy to use. And every single day, every single minute, you can make the choices to take one step closer to that person that you want to be.
Wow. So, and it apparently has worked for you.
It's worked for me.
I mean, you lost 85
100%.
pounds, which takes
Yes.
a fair degree of commitment, I would imagine.
Yeah.
You actually are a published author now, which also takes a fair degree of commitment. And did you sit down and just write a list and say, okay, I'm going to lose all this weight, I'm going to write a book, I'm going to finish school, I'm going to get a graduate degree?
Nope. And
No.
that's one of the great things about this, is that it's one small step at a time. Positive momentum, positive change is just as powerful as negative change, in that it can snowball, and you can start to see things that move positively in your direction, and then another thing, and then another thing. Your thoughts start to change, your emotions start to change, and your actions at that point have no choice but to go with it. So once you begin changing yourself, it's a very strong process.
You know, I've always heard the expression, you make your own luck. And I guess that's kind of it, too, isn't it? I mean, if you do positive things, it kind of begets more positive things in your life, doesn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. That's one of the messages behind choice theory, is that I'm responsible for my own behaviors and nothing else.
Now, you're going to have a book signing tomorrow night, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Now, where's that going to be, and what time should we be there?
It's going to be at the Wine Dog on 23rd Street. Come around 5 o'clock. I'll be there until 8-ish.
Okay.
Yeah, there'll be free wine, free food. I'll be there
and free
signing
life
books.
tips, maybe?
Free life tips? I don't know about that. I don't know, free. Yeah.
You'll have to buy the book.
Yeah. I got to sell a book
Yeah.
somewhere.
But we can actually get a chance to talk with you when we
Absolutely.
go there and just find out more about your story, because I think it's a fascinating story, quite honestly. So many of us, and we may even have people watching at home right now that are like, geez, I got to get off this couch, or oh, I got to do something with my life, and where do I start? This might be a good place to start. You got to start within, don't you?
Absolutely.
And start with your own processes and just find a lifestyle that works for you.
That's right.
And not everybody's the same, are they?
Not even close. Actually, everybody's 100% different, I believe.
Yeah, but I'll say this, we all have in common is staying on the couch doesn't work, does it?
No.
And watching TV, except for this show, of course,
Yeah.
probably doesn't work either, does it?
Right.
So you got to get up, you got to move, and you got to get on with your life. Thomas Winterman, you're a fascinating guy. Thanks so much for coming on the show and telling us about your personal journey and your book. Tomorrow night, Wine Dog, what time?
5 to 8.
5 to 8.
5 to 8.
At the
Yep.
Wine Dog. Thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you next time.